Hello and welcome to my video, lesson 7.1, Statistical Questions. So this video is for grade 6, talking all about how to make sure that our questions are statistically valid. So what does that word statistics mean? Well, when we're talking about statistics, we mean that we are taking some amount of data, some amount of information, and usually it's like a sample group, and then you're making generalizations about the whole group with that sample information. So just an example of that, we have 100 students in the school, or we have 800 students in the school, but maybe we survey 100 of them. So that's about 12% of the school population that we're going to be sampling. And so that sample size will then hopefully tell us enough about the general population to make some claims. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because you have to choose population and who you're asking and all that stuff as well. But for today, we're looking at how to make those questions fair questions and good questions. So first thing that we want to look at here is we want to make sure that our questions are useful questions. If we're asking something that is unrelated, then it's not a useful question. So for example, I'm going to always start off with a non-example. That means a bad example. And then I'll give you a better example of what that could have been. So what is my favorite color? Well, that's not a statistical question. You can't make a graph about that. You can't make generalizations about that. And it even could be a different answer than what is the most common favorite color, which would be a better question. So making sure that we have useful information. So let's just highlight that with a better highlighter. There you go. Useful information. Very, very important. Going down over here, we have bias. So we're going to look at a couple questions here with bias. So is pizza your favorite food? Well, this is a bias because you're already starting with that, just a little bit of that, is pizza your favorite food? Instead of asking a more general question, which is, what is your favorite food? Now, it's not the worst question if all you want is a yes or no answer and just a very simple bar graph or pie chart as people that like pizza and people that don't, then I guess it's okay. But if you want a more general answer and you want to get more information out of your question, you could easily ask something slightly different. Going down here to our next question. Don't you love when you begin to taste the squeaky, delicious squeaky and partly melted cheese touching your tongue? So that's a pretty biased question. See how it says things like delicious, and it starts, ooh, squeaky, partly melted cheese. Oh man, I love that stuff. Versus a better question would be, do you like to have cheese curds on poutine? Because you can get other types of poutine, but do you like to have cheese curds on poutine? It's a little bit better question. Next biased question, and this is one that I think most people would start thinking, oh, this is a fine question. But this is a very common bias. Why do you think electric cars are better? Well, maybe a lot of people think that electric cars are better, but not everyone does. So if you're asking the question, why do you think the electric cars are better, then you're already putting that idea into the person's head that they are better. Your question is biased in such a way that it tells the individual what they believe, and that's not what you want. So a better question: do you think that electric cars are better? Why or why not? Confusing wording can also be an issue, so I'll just read this whole big thing here. The whole point is just that I made it confusing. So if it's confusing, that's the point. Xbox and PlayStations both have controllers, each have games, both try to make themselves distinct through hardware and software. Is Xbox better or is PlayStation better? Are both equal? Tell me why. Are both bad? And you like something else? Versus, which is better and why? Xbox or PlayStation? Simplify your questions. Make them short, make them to the point, and do not write any more information than you have to. Give only the basics of your question, and then your reader or the surveyor or the person you're asking, they will answer all those things about. They both have controllers, or maybe even one of the people you ask says, well, I like the controller of one better than the other, or I like the games that one has better than the other. By wording it all like this, we've also added a bias. And so the more words you have, the worse. You do want to make your answers, your questions very specific, but do not try to put any ideas into the person's head. All right, I hope this video helps you guys understand statistical questions a little bit better. Looking at useful questions, looking at bias, and looking at confusing wording. Good luck.